Hey everybody, I'm Terri-Britt. We're going to get started with our Women Leaders of Love Own Your Worth Wednesday. We've got people trickling in right now to come into our Zoom call. I am Terri-Britt. I'm going to let people get settled in. If you are wondering how you get on the Zoom call, then you just go to terribritt.com/leaders and get my free worthiness quotient breakthrough bundle. And that will allow you to be sent our Zoom link every single week when we have these calls. Because if you've never been with us before, you're going to see that it's really cool because we open up for questions and do a lot of healing work here. So I'm going to get the recording going and let's do this. So this is our Women Leaders of Love Own Your Worth Wednesdays, and we are so happy you're here. This week, we are talking about giving yourself permission to rest. Okay, I know that sounds kind of crazy. Of course, you can say, yes, I'm going to go to sleep. I'm going to go to bed at 10 o'clock tonight, or I'm going to take a nap. But most of us, even when we go to do some rest or to take a few moments, we don't let our minds rest. Okay, think about that. Do you let your mind rest? So as we're getting settled in here, we're letting people trickle into the Zoom call. I want you to just take a moment to get grounded. And what we do here is we just give ourselves permission to breathe, imagining opening up the crowns of our heads and allowing the light of love, the light of God to flood in. And give yourself permission to give your mind a moment to rest. That's what this space is for you to rest and to be loved and to be nurtured. So as you allow that light to come in and you allow yourself to get settled in, bringing in that light all the way in through the head, into the neck, down your arms and out your hands. Imagine that you're letting everything go. We're getting centered here. We're getting into a space of being fully present because that's where joy is. So once again, we're just going to go from the shoulders now and allow that light to come down into the chest, into your ribs, now down into your hips. Really just kind of moving into it, allowing the light to settle in. We're getting fully present. We're giving ourselves permission to take a rest. Bringing that light on down through your legs. Now out your feet. You can imagine the balls of your feet opening up. And then allow yourself to just get fully here so that the light now floods all around you, washing all the energy, all the muck you're holding on to. And allow that energy to flood down to the bottom of your feet, underneath your feet, and let everything wash down. Just imagine a column of light under your feet and send everything down to the center of the earth. We're getting fully grounded, letting everything go, getting centered, being present. This is a huge step that we do every single week to help you really own your worth. Because when you give yourself permission to be in this state, you're saying, I'm enough and I can take a rest. I can be in this space. And that's what we're talking about today, is giving ourselves permission to give our minds a rest. And I want to tell you what happened. Okay, so I have a lot going on right now. I've got so many irons in the fire. It's crazy. And I'm working on a talk. Well, I sat down today and I'm just trying to push, I'm sitting there pushing too much to get it done. And I went, you know what? This is crazy. I'm going to just let my mind rest. So I sat there and I did what we just did right now. And I allowed myself to rest. And as I allowed myself to rest, I put myself in a receptive state. And in that receptive state, all of a sudden, information that I needed for this talk came flooding in. I was like, yes! I was so excited. Okay. So I remember the first time that I recognized that putting myself into that state of rest where I allowed my mind to just surrender, to be in that state of rest was years ago. I lived in Southern California. I was trying to get some answers about something. I get most of my answers through meditation, but I wasn't getting the answer that I needed. So I decided to take a walk. Now, this was not like a heavy duty exercise walk where I'm thinking about I've got to burn calories. This was a walk where I was just being in a state of rest. I was allowing myself to just be in the joy of the moment, to get present, to enjoy nature. Well, as I started walking, I realized that I was probably going to have the answer that I needed by the end of the walk. I just felt that I was, so I let it go. And sure enough, as I'm walking and taking my time, allowing myself to rest and just be in that space, all of a sudden, by the end of the walk, the answer I needed came in. It was so cool. So I know you've each had this happen to you before. I know you've had a moment where you were worried about something, your mind was racing, maybe you couldn't sleep at night, you definitely couldn't take a nap, you're like, oh, I need to figure this out, or you're trying to make a decision on which way to go. Maybe you're running something over in your mind and you just don't allow yourself to go into that restful state. And then all of a sudden, maybe you're talking to a friend or you're doing something that is just pure fun. All of a sudden, the answer comes. I mean, how many can say that they've done that? I know we've all done that. It's because you put yourself into a receptive state. See, we're trained to grasp. We're trained to push, 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 shove, 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 go, 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 go. And we never give ourselves permission to just be in a being state. We're in that doing state, in that solving state, and we don't allow ourselves to go into that being state much. Well, when you go into that being state and you allow yourself to just be, you get receptive. And, just like when we started this conversation today and we got grounded for a few moments, when you allow yourself to just be in that state of rest. We talked about today opening up the crown and allowing the light of God to flood in. Well, your higher self is right here above your head. When you give yourself permission to just rest, that's when the answers can flood in. Now, we are programmed from early on as kids to just be busy, right? Busy, 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 whether it's at home and our parents are saying, do this, do that, do your chores. And sorry, there's a helicopter going over. Hope it's not taking away my noise or my sound too much. So our parents are saying, do this, do that, do your chores. Then we get to school and we're inundated with homework, right? We're inundated with what we have to do in school. We become adults and now it's what we have to do for our families or what we have to do at work. And it goes completely against the grain to really give ourselves permission to be at a state of rest, to let our minds rest. Now, in the religious world, the old thinking was, and for some it's still, to have a day of rest, to have a Sabbath, to have a day where you just let everything go and you surrender. But now our world's gotten so busy that we don't even do that, right? We don't even take that moment in that time to just be and to surrender. So I want us to look at today, we're going to go into a meditation shortly. I want us to look at today about what it is that keeps you from being in that state of rest. Because let me tell you, when you push and you shove and you go, 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 that's when you get disconnected. That's when you feel so angry, you feel frustrated, you feel depleted, you often feel anxiety and depression. When you're in this state of pushing and pushing and doing and doing and doing, that's when we start taking our pain out on the people around us. That's when we start screaming. We have those knee-jerk reactions. We are driving down the road and all of a sudden somebody cuts us off and we're giving the bird, it could be anything, right? You know what I'm talking about. So we want to give ourselves permission to go into that state of rest, to be in that state of just being, because one, it gets us in that receptive state, as I was talking about a second ago. When you get into that, when you get there, you get in that receptive state. But it also allows us to be in a space of, of, of more love towards our fellow human being, because in that state of rest, we're having compassion for ourselves. We're having love for ourselves. We're having kindness and gentleness for ourselves. And because we're in that state, now we can see others with the eyes of love. We can see them and see when they're not taking a rest. We can see when they are pushing themselves. And instead of meeting them with resistance, because we're in that same state, when we're in the state of just being, we all of a sudden shift to a different energy. We shift to a different vibration. And now we can't meet them, because you can't meet if you're not the same vibration, if you're not the same in the same resistance. So if you're here and they're here, then you can see them with the eyes of love. You can see them with the same kind of compassion that you're giving yourself. But it means that we have to do this for ourselves. And let me tell you, it's hard to go into a state of rest. My hubby, Charlie, tends to be a little bit of a workaholic, not a little bit. He's getting to do that little bit place. He's always been a hardcore workaholic because he actually loves work. And what was interesting, because I used to be that workaholic and now I do my darndest not to be. I really try to be in the state of balance where I'm resting and then I'm taking divine inspired action rather than just doing. But for a long time, as I would take this rest, when I first got with him, or not even when I first got with him, when I first learned this, because it took me a while to really get to this place of being in a state of being, I felt guilty. I felt guilty because I would watch him work. And a part of me was saying, oh, I should be doing just like him. I need to be working more. I need to be working harder. I need to be doing. But then I realized I'm just matching that old way of being that he hasn't transitioned out of, and that I needed to be that woman leader of love. I needed to own my worth and say, no, I deserve rest. I also know that this is the loving thing to do, not only for myself, but for the people around me. So I had to come back to center and let go of my guilt. Now, I want you to think about that for a moment for yourself. When you have those moments of just being, do you find yourself feeling guilty? Do you feel I should be doing more? Or I need to take care of this or need to take care of that? Maybe you're not thinking the word more, but you constantly think there's things to be done. Do you do that? You have to get honest with yourself here. Because if you do that, then what you're saying is I am not worthy of having rest. I am not worthy of taking a break. Now, all of a sudden, I'm having this picture in my mind of when I was in elementary school, and we would go to lunch or not go to lunch, but have our lunch break every day. Then we would come back, and we had these little mats that we would take a rest on. Then over time, we've transitioned out of that as we get older, and we don't do that for ourselves. It's like, no, now that you're an adult, you really can't take that rest. You really have to push. And so we keep sending this energetic message out to the universe that says, I am not worthy of being nurtured. I'm not worthy of loving myself this way. I'm not worthy of being taken care of and giving myself a break. Okay, think about that. I'm not worthy of giving myself a break. Well, you are the one who determines your worth, as you all know that, right? You are the one who determines your worth. No one else does. So if you are treating yourself that way, then you are saying, I'm not worthy. It is up to you to take back the authority of your life and say, yes, I am worthy. And I trust that I am going to have everything that I need show up if I take this rest. And what's so interesting about this, like I told you today when I got that information that I needed, when you go into that restful state and you allow your mind to just be, you get so much more creative because you're getting divine downloads. You're getting information that is coming from deep within that is telling you, okay, this is what you want to do. This is the next step you want to take. but we don't let ourselves go there because we're in that mindset of doing. But when we allow ourselves to get into that receptive state and then get into a space of going, okay, I'm just going to be, and then trust that things are going to show up as needed in divine timing, then you can get really, really creative. Now, what was interesting today is at first I was having a hard time giving myself permission to go into just a restful state. So you know what I did? I went into gratitude, because there is nothing that can get you into a restful state faster than gratitude. I just started writing. I'm like, oh, I'm so thankful for this day. I'm so thankful I went to the gym this morning. I'm so thankful that I'm loving myself and eating well today. I'm so thankful that I'm sitting here taking this time for myself. And I just kept saying, thank you, thank you, thank you. And thank you, God, for guiding me here. And just by being in that state of gratitude, I went even faster into that restful state, because then it's a reminder, right? When you can see the gratitude of things that you're grateful for, it's a reminder that you are supported and that you are loved and that you are nurtured when you give yourself permission to receive it. So that state of gratitude, it reminds you, right? It reminds you that it is okay to take a rest. It is okay to take a rest. And in fact, it's one of the best things that you can do, right? To put yourself there. So we're going to go into a meditation today to look at and clean out the belief that says it's not okay to take a rest, because you're going to be so much happier when you find this kind of balance within yourself. I can tell you, because I was that doing person. I was so out of balance for so long. And when I gave myself permission to start resting, to start just being in that being state, and then getting guidance, then taking action which was inspired action, I came into a state of balance. I came into a state of, oh, this feels really good. You mean I can rest, I can play, and I can work, and my life can be really well-rounded. Ooh, this is very, 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 very cool, right? And we all want that. So often we're just being hard on ourselves, and we don't allow ourselves to go there. So we're gonna help stop that today, because this is a big part of owning your worth. This is a big part of saying yes to being a woman leader of love. So I want to invite you to take a moment and close your eyes. We're going to go into meditation right now. I'm going to take a sip of water. I want to invite you to close your eyes. And as we did at the beginning of this call, I want to invite you to just visualize opening up the crown of your head, kind of like a funnel. And I want to invite you to allow the light of God to come in so that you can get into a receptive, peaceful, restful state right now. We're not grasping, we're just being, allowing that light to flood all the way down to your fingertips, to your toes. Breathing into this. And now allowing that light to just flood around you. You're so full that it's flooding all the way around you into your auric field. Imagining it at arm's length all the way around you, under your feet, and then allow that energy to flood down from the bottom of your feet, underneath them, and down to the center of the earth. Really grounded here, getting centered. And I want to invite you right now to think about this conversation and how it makes you feel. How does it make you feel when we talk about being able to rest? Do you give yourself permission to go there enough? Maybe you do it a little bit, and that's awesome. But maybe it's not enough, or maybe you don't do it at all. I want you to really get honest with yourself right now. And if you do give yourself permission to rest, maybe you do it plenty, but do you have guilt? Because if you have guilt, then you're not really resting. Breathing into this, get real clear with yourself. And then I want you to allow this feeling to take you back in time to that earliest memory when you felt like you could not rest, that you had to be busy. Maybe you were in school. Maybe a parent was yelling at you to rush, 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 and to get up, quit being lazy. I want you to go back in time to that place, whatever comes up for you. And whose voice were you hearing? Was it a parent? Was it a teacher? Was it a friend? If it's your own, then ask where you took that voice from. Who were you trying to please? Now imagine the little kid inside of you stepping forward. And I want you to ask that inner child of yours, what was the belief you took on? Maybe it was something as simple as if you rest, you get yelled at. Maybe it was something as simple as if you rest, you get behind in school. So you get behind in life. What's the belief? What was that belief? If you're feeling emotional right now, that's cool. Allow the feelings to come up. And you might see pictures flashing in your mind. You might have this experience of the pain. I want you just to imagine that you're letting all of that move out. You can envision a beautiful rose, a giant rose, and the head of it is like a vacuum. Envision that rose pulling all of that energy in, because we don't want to hold on to it. We want to just start releasing it. Let that belief, all of those emotions go into that spot, into that rose. Breathing into this. And you might even see where that energy of not being able to rest has been a filter for every decision you've made in your life. Maybe you've been wanting to go out and do something in the world, but you're afraid, no, because I'm going to just work myself to death. Well, of course, you're going to be afraid if you don't give yourself permission to rest regularly, to let your mind rest. So let all of that fear go into that rose as well. All those fearful projections that you made, let everything go into the rose. And you can even allow all the pictures and all the energy that you have felt over the years where this has kept you stuck. Maybe in relationships, maybe you're not being fully authentic because you feel like, no, I have to work so I can prove that I'm worthy of my partner's love or my boss's love or approval. So put all that energy in the rose. And then let's take the energy from our family. Maybe you watched your parents never taking a rest. Let's put that into a rose. Everything's going to this rose. This rose is getting pretty big. Let's just give ourselves one more chance to bring the energy into that rose that we can see. And then now let's take that rose and send it out into the universe. We're going to blow it up like confetti. We're sending it back to the universe with love. And now I want to check in one more place just to see where this energy was sitting in the body. So I want you to just kind of feel into your body and say, okay, where was this sense of that I can't rest sitting? Was it in your shoulders? Is it in your feet? Is it in your head only? It can be many places. So I want you to just get a sense, where is it? And then I want to invite you that we've been bringing this light of God, light of love in. I want you to bring the energy to that place, wherever it's sitting. And maybe it's your whole body. Maybe it's under your feet. Maybe it's in your aura around you, that energy field around you. So wherever it is, I want you to invite this light of God to really go in there. You can see it as gold and mixed with maybe some green healing light. Allow that energy to flood into this space. And as you're doing so, take back the authority of your life right now and say, I give myself permission to rest. I give myself permission to rest. Breathing into this. And now let that light flood throughout your whole being. It may have already been doing that, but then let it run. Just do it some more. But if you were holding it in one space, let it flood throughout your whole being, filling you up. Whenever we clear out energy, we want to fill it up with light. Breathing into this, let that light now flood into that auric field around you again, underneath your feet. And then let's send it down to the center of the earth so we're fully grounded in this permission. And I want you to just say to your inner child right now, that little 5-year-old inside of you, I give you permission to rest your mind, to rest your body. I give you permission to stop doing. I give you permission to be. I give you permission to be. Breathing into this. And when you're ready, we'll come back into this space. You can open up your eyes whenever you're ready. Think about the power of saying, I give you permission to be. I give myself permission to be. When you do that, what you're saying is, I am enough. I am worthy. I am lovable and likable, even when I'm resting, right? And what you're saying is that I deserve to be in a state of abundance. I give myself permission to be. I want to invite you to take that and really go into awareness of when you're doing, when you're not allowing your mind to rest, and go back to that place of just do a mind hack, right? Just do a mind hack. I give myself permission to be. That feels so good just saying that, right? I give myself permission to be. Ooh, I love that. So now we're going to open up for questions. If you are on Zoom here in this little community, our Women Leaders of Love community, you can raise your hand, and there's a little the reaction button at the bottom of your screen. I think that's the way it is on phones if you're on your phone. But anyway, there's a little reaction button. You click on it. It says raise your hand. For those of you who are not on the Zoom and you'd like to be, and you'd really like to learn more about Women Leaders of Love, I want to invite you to get my free Worthiness Quotient Breakthrough Bundle, which really helps you step into being a woman leader of love. There's an ebook and 3 meditations to help you step into this space of really loving yourself and owning your worth. So I want to invite anybody in this group, because this is how you get to ask questions. So what you do is once you get that, you'll be included in our weekly link, so that we send you a link to this Zoom call so that you can participate and be here. So I want to invite anybody who wants to raise their hand on the Zoom call. It's so funny because my chat is not popping up very well. So is there anybody, if you're trying to raise your hand and you can't for some reason, you can unmute yourself, because my chat is not opening up with the people on it today. I don't know what's going on. I just see chat unless nobody's writing, and usually people write something here. So does anybody want to raise their hand? Again, you go down to the bottom and you hit reactions, and then there's a thing that says raise your hand, and I will see it. Hopefully it doesn't seem like it's working. If you've raised your hand and I'm not calling on you, you can unmute yourself. We're having technical difficulties. Don't you love that? Let me see if I can figure something out here. See what's going on. Oh, how weird. Okay, well, I'm hoping. Usually somebody's raising their hand at this point, right? Who's raising their hand? Or who's just unmiked themselves or unmuted themselves?
Hi, Terri. I was kind of waiting for other people to speak, because I actually had more of a comment about last week, if that's okay.
Oh, of course, yeah. Yeah, but you know what? Did you raise your hand, because it's not showing?
Well, I tried to hit reactions, and the only thing that came up was clapping or thumbs up.
So that's weird. Okay, I got to figure out what's going on.
But I'm not the most technical of people, so.
Okay, well, maybe it was you then. I'm thinking it's Mercury retrograde, because we just went into Mercury retrograde, and that's when the techie stuff starts happening, all the crap. So anyway, so go ahead and ask your question.
So it's more, I don't know if it's a question or an insight, and I did have something with this too, but so last week, my mom was here, just getting away from some things. And Dawn, I don't know if she's on, she spoke, and I was kind of excited because I know there were some similar, things. I was like, yeah. So Dawn started going about the vaccine and the whole to do. And my mom had never listened to you before. And I was like, really, we did the recording. I've been doing the recording because we were out and about doing things. And I was like, oh, I really think you'll relate to Terri. I want you to listen. And we did the recording. And then when Dawn came up at the end, I was like, and she started talking about the vaccine and how her mom wasn't listening to her. I was like, oh, just thinking, because a lot of times I think I've expressed that I feel unheard and misunderstood, and that I try to say something and it's like just not heard. Right. So at the end, I asked her, I said, well, what'd you think? She said, well, I really liked it, but Terri really missed the mark with that lady at the end. I said, what do you mean? She said, well, what she really should have said to Dawn was that your mom loves you. Right? So I said, well, and all I'm hearing is maybe my mom's going to hear that she's not feeling understood, that whole thing. Because remember, Dawn was trying to share her thoughts with her mom, right. And her mom all she heard was what she wanted to hear. And I've had similar interactions. And I said, well, that's not what it was about. It wasn't about the vaccine. She says, oh, no, she could die. And Uncle Bernie died and she's going to die. And I'm like, and she's not hearing that her mom loves her. I'm like, no, but it wasn't about the vaccine. And she couldn't hear that. And I said, but Mom, now I'm feeling, and then I felt the courage. I'm like, you're not hearing me. And I'm trying to explain to you, it's more than about the vaccine. It was a breakthrough. And at the same time, I'm trying to listen to myself, like, what am I supposed to learn here, right? So here I'm going through the same, like, but can you hear what it was about? She says, well, no, but she can die and she's not hearing that she can. And it was like this interaction. Anyway, you're getting the point. And I was like, well, can you at least, this is part of the issue. I'm like, I feel misunderstood like that. So I explained to her, I said, it wasn't about the vaccine. It was about the fact that she really needed that interaction of being heard from her mother and understood from her mother. And it wasn't about, it could have been about anything. And her understanding at that moment, the breakthrough of that she needed to get it from herself. And right, so, and then she said, if I listen to you, you have to understand that I'm not going to agree. I said, okay, that's fine. So, right.
Wow. 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 But what's so cool about it is that she was saying, okay, I might listen to you. Did she end up listening?
Because I think we had gotten into interaction like a month before where she wasn't hearing me. And she had just lost her husband. It's like a whole, So I was like, we just went through this last month, and I was like committed to not getting it to that level because it really did. And I was like, how do I get this not to this level? But I really wanted to feel heard at that moment. And then I was going to have to clear this to figure out like what I need to learn from this as well. But I really wanted some breakthrough. So when she's like, oh, so what she was looking for was validation. I said, yes. And I sometimes have been wanting that my whole life because I don't get it. So it was like a breakthrough for us on some level. Good. And then now I was like, I need to understand like how much I need that as well. And to clear, to clear that for myself. Yes. And then as a post thing she brought up, and this is something you and I had talked about earlier, she says, I thought about what you said and I realized the reason I can't listen to you is because you're smarter than me and I need to and you had said that to me, always get ahead of you. And and she said this to me, yeah, get ahead of you. And I was like, well, it's not about smarter. It's like, so I don't know. I just couldn't, I missed my other class. I've been doing the recordings a lot because I was like, I had to clear this and talk to you about this.
Well, what's so cool about it, Holly, is that I think I'm remembering this conversation, I think, with you some time ago about wanting your mother to validate you. Did we have that conversation?
Mother specifically, I didn't use a specific person. I said in general, because this is with my dad, with other friends. Yeah. I said I felt like unheard or misunderstood a lot. Like I'll say something and somebody will hear it a totally different way than I mean it. So I wasn't, and I did have something specific in my mind, but I wasn't specific about an instance when I spoke.
Okay. Because, when we are wanting people, it's like your mother said it. She says something, about the agreeing. She's not going to agree with you. I think a lot of people, they're not willing to be open to hear everything because they feel threatened in the sense of, well, you're going to make me agree with you. The chances are your mother probably had a situation with her mother.
Right.
You see? So do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
So she's like, so if you're challenging me, then you're going to force me, there's going to be confrontation because we're not agreeing. Right. And there's that sense of like, I'm just not going to listen to you. I don't want to hear it because we're not going to agree. And it's going to be uncomfortable. When in reality, if we had made a decision, we don't have to agree. I'm going to validate myself and stand in my truth. I don't need you to agree with me. And there's something really freeing about that. Okay. Because when you can get to a place where you say, I can stand in my truth and you can stand in yours, and they may be polar opposites, but we can have an open discussion. That's different.
And I do think there's probably, when you said that, there is part of me probably that's bringing the energy of that I want somebody to agree with me.
Yes, exactly. When she said it, it was like, oh, there it is.
And even so, I was like, well, I'm still going to get her to agree with me.
You have to ask yourself, why do I need her to agree with me? Why do you need people to agree with you? Okay, because let me tell you, if we all agreed on everything, it would be a very boring place to be here on planet Earth. I mean, it would be boring. I mean, isn't it fun? Like if you're meeting someone and there's no, like, this is all survival stuff too. Your mother's survival. I mean, it's like survival stuff. She's getting worried and everything. And I understand what she said about the girl last week, is like, she missed the point. She loves her. Yeah, she loves her. But this is, like you said, it's bigger than this. This is more than this. Of course she loves her. But when we can get, when we're all in this energy of, I need you to validate me, it's boring. And what I was going to say is that, I mean, not boring, but that creates the confrontation. But if we were all alike, it would be really, really boring. I mean, have you ever had a moment where maybe you're meeting someone or just having a conversation with someone, but they disagree with you, but you're not lit up by it, right? And when I mean lit up, you're not triggered.
Right.
And so you can hear with open ears, right? And so you still may not agree with them, but you've expanded your consciousness. You've expanded yourself to say, oh, that's not my story, but I really get where you're coming from. Have you ever had that happen?
Yes, a few people, and I love having conversations with those kinds of people.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, oh, that really does have a good point, and it's such a better conversation.
Yes, it is such a better conversation, and it expands you into seeing other possibilities. I mean, it's like that parent who's like, no, it's my way or the highway, right? That doesn't give you any permission to grow or expand. But then if you've got a parent who says to a child, well, what do you think? Tell me why you need to do this. Okay, maybe the child's wanting to do something, the parent's going, no. And then the parent says, why do you feel you need to do this? And then the kid gives them a perspective of their own. And the parent says, oh, I get it. Okay, then you can do that. I trust that you can do that. Right? Yeah. So it's when we can get to that place. So when we're getting, I always use the word lit up because it's like every hair on your body stands up, right? So when we're getting lit up by someone, say your mother, because we disagree, then that is our opportunity to look at, what are we needing from that person? In your situation, is you were wanting your mother to agree with you, and she was wanting you to agree with her. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah.
Right. So if you're needing her to agree.
Situation, I mean, there are definitely times I just wanted her to hear it and like hear me and understand where I was coming from. Sometimes it's the agree, and sometimes it's like understanding that that's not my intention, and to be like, sometimes I feel like I'm taken the wrong way. Like I mean something else.
Yeah, I get that. I understand what you're saying.
Right. Like I was saying something weeks ago and she's like, well, you're siding with that person and not me. And I was saying, no, there's another side to look at it. I was just opening up her mind. And I was trying to explain to her that that's not my intention, but that couldn't even be heard. Right. So that was, and I was like, no, that's not how I meant that at all. Right. So it's a combo of both, I guess. Sometimes I'm like, that's not what I meant by that comment.
And this is why communication is so key, right? When we can talk about, what did I mean? Where am I coming from? But I really get this strong sense with your mom. It feels like somebody had their thumb on her really heavily when she was a kid. And so she didn't feel she could have a voice. She didn't feel that she could disagree. And so as she grew into an adult, maybe she started finding a little bit of it, but it's like, no, you can't stand up to me, because what you're probably doing for her is when you're feeling so differently about something than she is, she's probably getting triggered about her own mom's stuff or dad's stuff when she was a kid. So she's digging in her heels because she's like, no, you're not going to tell me what to believe and what to do. I mean, she's going to go there, but you have to really see her from a perspective that her woundedness is what is acting that way. Her wounded child, that little kid inside of her, is the one who is digging in her heels. Because if your mother was emotionally mature, and mom, if you're listening, if you have her listening, it's like we all have places where we're not emotionally mature. But if she were really emotionally mature in this situation, then she would be able to hear you. She might not agree with you,
Mhm.
but she could hear you. You understand the difference?
Yes, I do. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I have similar things with my dad. So then I wonder if it's me, right? The way, or did I just attract those two parents in my life for my lessonings, right? That I'm just stubborn on learning.
So let me just can I look at your energy for a second and see if there's anything that I see? Did you say yes? Because I immediately
I
start
did
getting
say
information. So I see a plug of energy here in your fifth chakra, your vocal, you're giving yourself communication, the freedom to communicate. And there's a plug here. And this it feels like you came in to learn this in this lifetime, that being able to communicate freely, being able to communicate your ideas, and just expressing yourself fully, that you came in to learn this in this lifetime. This is kind of an off message or question. Have you ever done anything artistic?
No, I have.
Writing, anything?
I'm creative. I'm more an idea person than a like creative with ideas rather than creative.
Okay. Well, maybe
Um,
then it's giving the expression of those, because it feels like there's, and maybe artistic's not the right word, because creative is, a good word. But when we are creative, whether it's being an artist, whether it's having ideas, whether it's being a dancer or writer, whatever, we all create in some way, shape, or form. The way we give expression to it is through here, right? And maybe down, if we're dancing down low, but it's still we're saying, yes, I'm giving myself permission to communicate this in who I am. And so it feels like that there's a plug here. And what it I can see what you're saying now about the ideas, because it's really giving expression to your ideas and how you think about things. Okay, so you have a lot of ideas, but it's about giving voice to all of those things. I can see that you could put things like, you can see things. Do you feel like you can see things at times where like this will work or that'll work? Do you see that in yourself? You may not even honor that. Is that a yes?
yes.
Okay. Um, that's about your wisdom. That's about your, like, it's like you can see things, how things would work well, how, it's like you just get it. It's like, I think that's what you're talking about with the ideas. But it doesn't feel like you have full freedom to express that, to really own that this is a gift you have. Have
Right.
you ever acknowledged it as a gift?
I do as a gift, yes, but I do find it, people are very closed sometimes with ideas. Like it's threatening, or it's you're trying to take over, or it's, you know,
Well,
whether,
what's
and I
uh,
don't, and if there's drama involved with ideas, I step away because I can't, whether I volunteered on the auction committee and had ideas, and I was like, I don't know.
oh, so there's the creativity. Yeah, there
Yeah.
it is. Okay, so that's being very artistic and
Or,
creative.
I
Okay?
worked in sports marketing, so that's like, it's all ideas, and it's, yeah.
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 Yeah. So what I'm hearing from you, so once again, you've attracted situations where they mirrored to you that you didn't have full permission to own this wisdom. Okay. So when you feel like, well, I don't want to do it. And it feels like, no, I'm not going to say that, or I have ideas. No, this is what you're working on in this. Okay. In this lifetime, you are working on giving expression to all of this. So your mother is playing an amazing gift. She is playing her part beautifully, because for you to really step into your gifts and to be a leader, okay, and really seeing things and then having people hear you, you've got to hear yourself and give voice to it and be okay that they don't agree. Okay. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Good.
Yeah, I can get shut down when people, yeah, I understand what you're saying, and being okay with people not agreeing, and yeah.
Right. Because what happens is a lot of times in our fear of having people not agree, we won't even say it in the first place. We'll hold back with the anticipation that it'll be rejected. And so you see what I'm saying? And I don't know if you do that, but I know I have done that, where if I have an idea or a thought or something, that I might suppress it because I'm afraid it will be rejected if I put it out there.
Right.
So So just be aware of, am I even holding my ideas back? Am I just almost abandoning yourself and your ideas and your wisdom and your gifts because you're afraid there's going to be confrontation or you don't fully stand in them? So this situation with your mom is actually been this amazing gift for you to get rooted in. You get divine downloads, you have visions of what can be done, and you need to trust them. You need to stand and be the authority rather than waiting for everybody to agree with you.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
That
I'm so glad you shared this. This is so
I was like, I can't go to my class today. I've got to share this.
yeah, it's so cool. I'm so glad you did, because let me tell you how many of us have this in our lives where we just suppress, and then if we start to say it and we're like, well, it feels like a battle all the time. And it's just that, you and your mom are playing the part for each other perfectly. And she had this happen too. And okay, so here's something you have to remember. And I just saw this in my mind. Your mom is playing her part for you to get strong in your truth, right? But you're also playing your part for her. Okay, so she can heal. If she will see this as an opportunity to heal her own stuff with her family, then you play the part for one another so that you both can really own your worth and say, yes, I have a voice and I'm going to use it, and I don't have to be rigid about it. I don't have to go to battle with it. We can be different. We can agree to disagree, right? So when you get weird and you start holding yourself back and think, well, I'm not going to have a voice because it might create some confrontation, if you'll let yourself go there, and instead of thinking of confrontation, think of, as I give myself a voice, I'm giving someone else a gift to find their own.
Right.
Okay. So that when we come to a space of purpose, then we can find the inner fortitude to stand in our truth.
Well, it just brought up too, a lot of times I think it's not as much some of it's me being heard, but a lot of times she'll have an opinion. Let's say it was the vaccine and I was not going to do it, or if I'm not, it gets pounded. And if I disagree, like the Uncle Bert, the whole thing, it's like, you're not here. I'm like, Mom, I understand, but I'm not in the same, I don't have permission to disagree as well. Like it just keeps getting, I'll get articles in the mail, I'll get phone calls, I'll get, I'll get pounded with emails or whatever it is. So it's kind of comes back in that respect too.
There's another gift there. Then you've
Right.
got to look at the belief of, when did I take on the belief that it's not okay for me to disagree?
Right.
Okay.
Well,
So there's amazing healing going on here.
Okay.
If you will see every aspect of it of, oh, I don't have permission to disagree. Well, then clear out that energy, just like we did earlier, even on the resting thing, use the retrieving the gift of love process where you put everything in that rose, let it go back to that original place. And, maybe you disagreed one time and you got slapped. So maybe the belief is, if I disagree, I'm going to get smacked. Okay. I'm not saying that happened.
I get ignored.
Okay. Or get ignored. Okay. Yeah. And right. So there's the abandonment issue again. Right. So what happens is you're afraid of being abandoned by someone, but by not allowing yourself to disagree and not standing in your truth, you're abandoning yourself. Think about that.
Right. Okay.
Okay. When you say, I am going to shut down my voice and instead of disagreeing with you because you're afraid of that person abandoning you, you don't want to be left, you don't want to be ignored. What you're actually doing is you're ignoring your truth. You're abandoning yourself. And that's where the anger comes from. You think the anger is with your mom, it's really with yourself.
Okay.
Makes sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's when we abandon ourselves and we want to blame other people for ignoring us or whatever. It's our anger comes from that little kid inside of us going, she's looking at you. She's got her head facing up to you going, you're abandoning me. You're ignoring me. You're not saying your truth. And instead of you hearing it, it comes out to the people around you. The anger comes out to the people around you.
Makes sense.
Makes sense?
Yeah. And then just real quick on the resting thing, to me, it's the I could never allow to rest. It just always, was the hard. You can go on to someone else if they have questions, but
I
yeah.
can't see the question. So I'm, for whatever reason today, the hands are not there. The chat is totally blank. It's completely
Right.
weird. I don't know if anybody said anything, but you said, what was it? What did you say? Because you broke up.
My mind, like I can't ever rest my mind. Like if I wake up in the middle of the night, it's because my mind starts, and it's silly things. I have to do this, I have to do that, or like it's I can never let and the only way I can is if I'm distracting my mind with like a game of solitaire or like a word, I can't ever get this to rest. So it's
Well,
not
and doing a game is okay. I mean, if that's what's going to bring you into a state of just being and just resting, then that's okay. Whatever works for you in that space. But you have to understand that if you're going, I'm doing, I need to do this, I need to do that, you are performing. You are looking for love outside of yourself. And that's why everybody's struggling, is because everybody's performing. So you have to get to a place of going, wait, who am I performing for right now? Who am I trying to please?
Right.
I mean, that's the question you ask, right? It's like if you're laying in bed and you're an adult and your mother's living somewhere else, and you look at your inner child and say, who are you performing for right now? And she says, my mom. And like, what's your mom going to do? You think she knows about this? But that's how it goes, right? It's like, my mom and dad, I have to do this. Well, I'm the boss now. You don't have to do that anymore. And then you can settle in and imagine holding that little girl in your arms and saying, you know what? It's okay. You want to play a game? Let's play a game. And then you relax. But it's really about recognizing, who am I performing for? Because when we're doing that in our minds, we're performing. Who are we trying to please? Oh, there's a chat. It finally popped up. So Alicia says, today's theme made me feel deeply supported. Thank you, Terri, for such a great meditation and coaching. I'm so glad could join live today. I have another call at the top of the hour, so bye for now. Bye, Alicia. I don't know if anybody else is on here, so I'm going to ask you to mute yourself. And I cannot see you here. Thank you, Holly. Thank you for being so honest and courageous. I think we're going to wrap it up today since we're having technical difficulties. But I think it was perfect that you got on, and thank you so much for jumping on. And that's what happens sometimes if the hands won't show or whatever. I want to just wrap this up. So we'll do a little mini closing meditation to just close our eyes and say, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you that we could be in this space of support and rest and learning and growing. Thank you for all of you being here, and for Holly being so courageous to share. And because I know it speaks to so many people in this group and on our planet right now. So I just want to say thank you, thank you, thank you for all of you. And just let's bring in the light of love once again. And whatever you took today, whatever you took from today, maybe it's like, I give myself permission to rest, or I give myself permission to be heard, or I give myself permission to have a voice. I want you to just, as you sit in this energy, say yes to that and say it over. I give myself permission, whatever it is. And then turn up the volume on that. See a dial and turn it up to 100% and feel the feeling. I give myself permission, whatever it is, and feel the feeling. Yes, 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 yes. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And when you're ready, we'll come back into the space once again. If you would like to join us on this call, and hopefully we won't have technical difficulties and everybody can raise their hands, you just go to terribritt.com/leaders and get my Worthiness Quotient Breakthrough Bundle, which will get my Women Leaders of Love ebook and 3 guided meditations. And then by doing so, you'll be invited into the Zoom call next week. We'll be sending you a link on Tuesday and Wednesday in your inbox. So make sure you grab that and check out what we are as Women Leaders of Love, because let me tell you right now, the planet is really needing us. So thanks, everybody. Thank you for being here. Love to you all, and see you next week. Bye-bye.